Hello and welcome to podcast 339 of 5-Star Potential, your weekly Football Manager podcast. I'm Dupe, and on this week's pod, I'm joined by Joe, aka Friday Night FM, Paul, aka Mad FM, and Dave talking Aberdeen as a party. Welcome, gents.
Welcome.
Care to elaborate, Dave?
I'd assume it's because Warnock's joined Aberdeen.
Oh,
so
is he?
I gotta follow Aberdeen. Follow Warnock wherever he goes. Yeah,
wherever he goes. I thought he retired. I did actually. I knew that.
He retired about 20 years ago, and he's still going. So.
His press conference was great when he said he was talking about how he told his missus, and she went, Aberdeen. It's a bit far, isn't it?
It is a bit far. And if you remember, about 6 weeks ago, you went, "Do you want to go and watch the darts in Aberdeen or whatever it was?"
I think it actually was Aberdeen. It's my birthday, well, not today, but when that was on, so that's kind of why. But yes, Joe, you're absolutely right. Fuck
Perfect,
that.
man.
I did it on a bus when I was 16, and I went to Aberdeen. So
Did what now?
Just to finger a bird.
Brilliant.
Yeah, that was literally all I got. On
Is
this
this why?
week's pod- for fuck's sake,
This
go
is
on,
why
lads.
you go out to Scottish people all the time, Dupe. You've had
Why's that,
bad
mate?
history there.
She's actually not Scottish. She was English.
She's just running away.
She was. She lived over the road from me, and then she ran away. And she was the one that got away. And then actually, she moved back to where I live now and proper butters. So I made the right decision. On this week's pod, we'll be doing the rounds where save updates are available. We return to Turkey for our venture in Wonderkid-land. Dave's finally doing things in his Penty, and Madd's barely alive. So fingers crossed he doesn't make it till the quiz. But before that, lads, winners of the week. Joe, talk to me.
I have no idea why he's written on the script Fernando Couto, but my winner of the week will be me, because if you're listening to this on release day, I've probably been in bed about 3 hours, and I've spent the weekend with Dupe.
Hey, you lucky
Is that a
fucking
win?
son of a bitch.
Yeah.
Um,
I do my bit for, caring the community.
my loser of the week. My loser of the week is going to be me driving home having to listen to this podcast on the way home. Actually, I know it should be out. Matt's not yet. Fine. Awesome, Joe. I'm looking forward to it, mate. I'm really excited. I told you that already. I'm a bit excited. I just like spending time with Joe. We play some pretty cool games. Soggy Biscuit. That's quite a good one we play. I got to bring my darts down this time, Joe. So it's actually quite new. We don't normally play darts. So this is where you find out I've actually been standing 4 foot away from the board.
We're using Kurt as a measuring stick.
Look at that, we're going after him all tonight. Cool.
I love Kurt because he still listens to this.
He does still listen to
Like
it. Well,
Kurt,
apparently. So, what'd you say,
We
man?
find out, you short little brick.
He went at me the other day on Twitter. Do you see that?
Leave him
Well, I went
alone.
at him, and then
He's
he
a
said,
lovely
"Escalate
human
quickly."
being.
Yeah, I called him a posh prick, posh Tory prick or something. Well, it stinks of posh. I can't remember what I said. He got a bit upset. Mad, come on, tell us who your win of the week is before you pass out.
I've put down Lewis Miley here, and I'm going to connect it to FM25 because he's just getting better and better in each game. He's obviously playing way more football than he should be, age 17. But I don't know if you saw that Luton game, apart from the inevitable result, some of the passes he was making and even some of the tackles he was making, I look forward to seeing him get a boost in FM25.
Who does he play for, Mad?
It's a team in the northeast.
Right.
Aberdeen? No, it's Newcastle.
It's a Newcastle reference again. Amazing. I'm sure.
Bingo.
I'm sure it'll be great. Dave, your win of the week, mate.
Me in the Champions League. I haven't won it yet. That's spoilers for my save update, but I have been smashing teams. So I actually got probably one of my biggest wins ever in a competitive match on FM. I beat a team 14-0.
Wow.
In total on aggregate, it was 24 goals to 4. And they only scored 4 goals. So I got centre back sent off like 10 minutes into a game and I just never replaced him. So basically just playing with 2 at the back, 3 at the back. So yeah, we 24-4, and still going on strong. So yeah, I'll give a good update on that later on.
Nice, mate.
Mush.
Nice. My win of the week. Cool. I'm gonna say that it's Joe, because Joe gets the privilege of spending the weekend with me. And I know we've referenced it once, but
I thought you just meant the snooker and the darts.
he's also going to smash the shit out of me. Yeah, definitely. He'll beat me at both sports. So keep your eyes out on Twitter. Actually, this is already out before, but you'll see on Twitter, because I normally keep a little running total just to show you how good Joe is compared to me. Good work. Right, Joe, loser of the week.
That'd probably be you, mate.
Yep. Fair enough. Fair point. Well presented.
Makes sense.
Mad.
I was going to say me because I've been so sick that I wasn't sure if I'd make it here. But then today we got the news that the Republic of Ireland have been drawn alongside England in the Nations League. And Ireland have been doing so shit lately. We don't even have a manager. Steve Bruce and Neil Lennon are at the top of the bookies charts, neither of which are very inspiring. I'd rather have fucking Warnock, to be honest. So yeah, Ireland, losers of the week.
He ain't that desperate.
I feel like
he'd rather go to. He'd rather. Excuse me. He'd rather go to Aberdeen. That's true.
I feel like we should plan this in for a little meet-up, but it's international football, and I really don't care.
Mate,
And
they
it's
need to just get Roy Keane in. It's the perfect job for Roy Keane.
It is.
Mate, I know tangent, mate. I love the overlap.
Oh,
honestly, it is the
great.
best football thing on the internet.
I've got
and I love his relationship with Ian Wright. I think it's brilliant, like because it's so not Roy Keane.
No, but I've got them ready for the drive down. And they did a stick to football one that came out today or something. It was really good as well. But
yeah, that is the one, stick to football. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So yeah, that one. So that seems. And I saw something about them talking about the Italian teams being a bit
juiced up. Yeah.
Yeah. So
that's been a thing. That's been a thing for years that people have talked about that. But Gary Neville literally just comes out and says it. He's like, "There's no way. Like we was fit, played 90 minutes. They didn't even look like they'd started running." And he's like, and then you look back at all like the cycling stuff and all the kind of
didn't happen with the Russians when it was on in Russia that like their average kilometers per game, and they got to like the quarter of the semi-final, but they had their running stats were through the roof compared to everyone else. So.
Awesome.
Yeah, I've just called out the Russians now. Great.
Yep, I don't mad. Fingers crossed.
Big Dennis Cherysov.
If you need his address, let me know. Dave, loser of the week.
Lucas Bergvall. We spoke about him on the Wonder Kid list a few weeks ago. There was news this week that apparently he rejected Wolves on deadline day. So,
he went to a good club though, didn't he? He went to Barcelona?
No.
Spurs.
Oh, shit. Yes, he did. That's not a good club.
So, there was rumours. I think the Wonder Kid, when we did it, I spoke about it because he'd just been linked with Wolves. And then it'd come out this week that on deadline day, apparently Wolves and Villa had bid for him. Actually bid higher than Tottenham. But he'd already given his word to Spurs. So
state of your club.
Finito.
I mean, it's mental that he's
ambitious.
Spurs over Barcelona, right?
I mean, it could be worse. I think Brighton signed that player from Northland.
Osman.
Yeah.
After West Ham had been linked to him the whole window, and then we didn't sign him because there was an issue with his agent, and then Brighton signed him.
It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? Really does. My loser of the week is me. I'll get into it in a bit more depth, but me and Football Manager, we haven't been best of friends this week with some terrible results. One being losing very badly in the Copa Libertadores against the Canadian team, which we should have absolutely battered, and we didn't. So I was a bit pissed off with that. So Dave, you've got time to catch up, mate. Just saying.
Maybe. I'm gonna have to smash it this weekend whilst you're away. See if I can get something done.
But you could have come with us and smashed it then. As you're talking and talking about smashing it, save update. Why don't you tell us yours, Dave?
Well, I haven't quite finished my next season, but I think I'm a little bit further than what I planned last week, because I think at the time of recording last week, I just finished off the 2027-28 season. So now I'm in the 28-29 season and pretty much over 3/4 of the way through. So I'll try and give a very quick overview of what's happened. And it's been mental. I would say it's probably been the craziest season that I've had on the Pentagon, to be fair. So from what had happened last season, obviously I did really well in the league, but fell short in the Confederation Cup, but ultimately the goal was to be in the Champions League, which I'm in. So this season we've been fighting for 5 tournaments. First one, the MTN 8, which I always mention every week. We won that very comfortably. It's always a good one because you get a lot of money from that. I think it's about 700 grand prize money, but for a team in South Africa, it's a lot of money, that is. So we've won it 3rd year on the bounce. Happy days. We've won the League Cup as well. Pretty straightforward again. So we won that. So in terms of the Champions League, we've had to go through qualifying stages. So there were first, I think there was a prelim qualifier, then a first round qualifier, and then we'd go into the group stage. So the prelims were what I mentioned earlier. Beat a team called Vitoria from Sao Tome and Principe. So, you know, no disrespect in terms of stature, they're not a very big side. Beat them 24-4 on aggregate. Second qualifying round, we played a team called Recreativo. They were based in Angola. We beat them 17-2 on aggregate. So again, smashed them. And then we made our way into the group stage. So we had 3 teams: Pyramids, any guesses where they're from? Anima, ABBA, and a team called Generation Foot. So in terms of how we did, again, unbeaten. We won every single game. So smashed through that. And we're now about to play in the quarterfinals. So the quarterfinal stage is where I'm at in the Champions League right now. We're playing a team called ES Sahel. So they're based in Tunisia. And I thought I recognised the name. It's because I played them last year in the Confederation Cup and beat them 7-2 on aggregate. So I'm fairly confident that we should beat them and at least go through to the semi-final. When you look currently at the Champions League, the teams left in it, there are 3 South African teams in it: us, Sundowns, and Orlando Pirates. So 2 teams I'm fairly confident I can beat, but at the same time, they have given me a couple of headaches throughout the time that I've been managing in South Africa. The league's been an interesting one because I'll be honest, I pissed the league last season. It was so straightforward. I was actually annoyed that we'd lost the game last year. I thought we'd finish unbeaten. This year is not been as straightforward as that. It's been a real, obviously the priority for me this year was to, however I could do it, win the Champions League. But obviously the bread and butter is the league and you want to do well in that. We started off quite well. I think it was only 3 league games in there. We dropped points. We drew to Orlando Pirates, and then we drew again against Sundowns. So we dropped a few points early on, but by early November, we'd gone on a run where we'd not won in about 4 league games. It was by November, we'd already conceded more than we had all of last season. And we dropped to about 5th in the league table. And I was like, shit. I said, this could be a long campaign. There was even messages, not so much of me being under pressure, but like inquests. The fans are putting inquests into the manager because they should be beating these last few teams. I was like, oh no. But like since then, since sort of November, we've been pretty much immaculate. I've just lost in the second round of the FA Cup, which I'm not too bothered about because that would have just added unnecessary extra games. But since then, we've been unbeaten in the league, and we smashed it. The transfers have been interesting because at the start of the summer, really, my plan was just to strengthen everywhere. I wanted better forwards, a better defense, because I wanted to make sure, in terms of the Champions League, we were ready for that. So I spent a lot of money. I spent 800 grand in total, which is a lot for a South African team. But now I've already received 1.2 million back. So in terms of the signings, biggest ones really, there's a guy, some people listening may know, he's called Lebo Mothiba. He actually plays in France in real life. He plays for Strasbourg. But in game, he'd moved to Bordeaux and he was firing double figures in Ligue 1. So I thought, if he comes to South Africa, he's going to absolutely piss it. And we spent a lot of money on loan to bring him in. He's been okay. I mean, he scored 22 goals in all comps. He's had a slow start to the season, but a proper pressing forward, Joe. I think you quite like him. 17 work rate, really good physical, 6 foot tall. So he's a good player. And I think even in somewhere like Portugal, I think he'd do quite well. And then a lot of our players we actually brought in playing in Portugal because there were players. I don't know. And again, people listening to the pod might be able to tell us. I don't know if there's a link between Brazil and Portugal and South Africa, because a lot of the players that I get recommended, or a lot of the clubs that come in to sign my players, are either Brazilian or Portuguese. So when I go onto the market to basically bring back these South Africans that aren't really getting the game time, I mean, I look now, signed 2 players from Vitoria, signed 2 players from Braga, Family Cow signed somebody from as well. So there's I don't know if there's some sort of link there. But then got to January, and I got a young lad, the new gen, called Bafana Bengu, young central midfielder, has been scoring bangers for fun, great player. An offer came in from Vitoria, 500k. I accepted it straight. Well, I negotiated it to 500k. They were like, yep, fine. I was like, shit, I should have got a sell on or, loan him back, because I was looking at the market and I couldn't find anyone as good. But for some reason, the deal got cancelled, but they came back in with more money. And I said, right, you can have him for that, but I want him on loan. And they've let him stay on loan. And then my main central midfielder, a Colombian guy called Johnny Quinones, he's a real player. So he's a really good player. I spent a lot of time trying to get him in last season. A big came in from Botafogo for him. and I couldn't really stand in his way. So I let him go. And again, I was like, shit, should I have held on to him? But we've let him go and we've coped ever since. So, I mean, the short answer is, by the end of tomorrow night, I should have had this season done. And at the moment, I'm 75 to 80% sure that we're strong enough and we should win this Champions League. And hopefully we just kick on from there. So next week could be a bumper day, really, because hopefully I should have at least won the African Champions League and hopefully push on to new things as well.
That link between Portugal, Brazil, South Africa is by boat, mate, if you look at a map.
Is that what you had your hand up for? Just I thought you were going to actually.
He held up for a minute and a half.
I thought there was going to be some insight as well.
It was, wasn't it? You wanted to know? Look at the map. There's nothing in the way.
Dave, you mentioned Generation Foot there in your Champions League group.
Yeah.
Were they like? Did you batter them? Like they're the team that they have links with like Metz in France, and I think it was like Sadio Mane, Papi Cisse, Ismail Assar, Pape Matar. They all came from that Generation Foot club. So it's I'm just wondering, like, are they any good, and are they worth you looking at as another African team if you fail?
So I don't think I've got them. They're in a Senegalese league, so I don't think I've got them loaded. I've got all their players on here, to be fair. But I beat them in the league in the group 4-0 and 2-1 away. I think that was my last group game because we scored late on in that game. I scored a 95th minute winner in that game. They've got some good players. I'm just looking at their loan players. They've got a couple of good players from the French league, to be fair, again, or even the Portuguese league. So we beat them quite comfortably. But like I said, I'm pretty confident. I mean, I didn't really talk about the league in terms of where I am in the league at the moment. I've just gone top of the league just before recording because I've just beaten Orlando Pirates. So I'm 5 points clear at the top. They do have a game in hand. In terms of goal difference and stuff, I'm not going to get anywhere near what I matched last season. But in total, I'm going to only have lost 3 games. When bearing in mind all 3 of those defeats came in November, I did quite well, to be honest, in that. So I'll be happy to win the league title. Like I said, though, Champions League's a priority. I even had Everton sniffing around me about halfway point through the season. I had an inbox talking about how Everton were like a reporter asked about the Everton job, and I said, well, yeah, sound whatever. And then the Everton fans were saying I was the leading candidate, but they never came with a formal approach. But I thought the fact that I've not even won a Champions League and I'm being linked with a half decent, size job in the English Prem. Means that, if I get a Champions League win under my belt, I should have a decent reputation to move on to bigger and better things.
I've actually just looked it up.
Yeah.
And it's to do with the Portuguese Empire.
Oh, is it?
It's actually 1975 was when a lot of the Portuguese left South Africa. So it's not that long ago. But some of it obviously relates back to slavery as well. So Portugal and Brazil is more to do with the Portuguese Empire, shared language, and then South Africa is to do with colonization and 1975.
That's interesting. There's that link on FM though, isn't it? Really interesting.
Must be something with the number of days that it takes to
maybe, yeah.
Nationalize.
But
I don't know.
Maybe, but if you've got a good player, you can guarantee the bids come in from a Brazilian or Portuguese team. I don't think I've had any other. To be fair, I've had a couple of players go to Qatar, but they're my older players. Qatar, a lot. But yeah, interesting. There must be something hard coded into the game, to be fair.
With it being 75, though, could you not just have like a lot of scouts that have got that knowledge because they've been there and moved on? Because that's why then they would come up. I don't know. Maybe. It seems strange, but it seems quite interesting.
Yeah, but for what it's worth, I had someone message me yesterday saying, "Oh, I saw you managing South Africa. I've looked at a couple of the players. So I think if you're like a second tier side or like a low end Premier League side starting to save, I think it's definitely a play. Even wherever you are in your saves right now, I think it's definitely an area to look at. If you've got the league loaded, I think there's some genuine talent there that you'll make a lot of money on, even if you just loan them out your end, But the one thing,
cricket team, mate. So
yeah, go on, dude. Sorry,
I was gonna say I echo that about Japan. Like with my time in Japan, there's so many decent new gens in there that go get them and then sell them back to Japan because they have to have X amount of Japanese players. So
yeah,
I think you're absolutely right.
Yeah, I've ended up doing that with a couple of players that I've sold and they're struggling to get into their team. So I've brought them back to South Africa and probably paying about what I sold them for, but paying them a lot more in wage because we're a much better established team now. The one thing that I haven't mentioned as well, and it's sort of I was going to mention it at the start, but I've not seen it happen yet. Somebody had messaged me on Instagram who's an FM fan, and I put it in our chat, and I don't know how true it is or if there's a fix as of yet, but apparently there's a bug in the year 2031. Which I'm not far away from, where player values like collapse, and it makes it very difficult, especially when you're a smaller team, to retain finances and keep a good cash flow in. So this guy messaged me about it because he's seen it on his save, and apparently second yellow card and mentioned it on his on a podcast as well. So I'll have to see what happens on mine, but I'm hoping I'm at a stage and at a club of decent stature that I don't have to worry about it.
Isn't that where the World War III mod? Where we could go into a massive world war and everything just fucking crashes through the floor.
Possibly. I don't know. I'll message him actually for an update to see because I know he said he posted it on the forums and I'll see. Obviously, I can't comment on it too much because it's not happened for me yet. But I'll wait and see.
Hopefully it doesn't. Hopefully it doesn't happen because
the internet just ruining saves.
Yeah, I know. Killing it before. That's, you could have just stopped it and it never been a thing. Hopefully it doesn't, Dave. Fingers crossed for you.
I hope not. Well,
and you, because you're doing a Pentagon.
Well, yeah, I know, but I've got.
See, I'm not. I don't know if you boys have watched it, but Tom FM started doing a series on
YouTube.
He's
cheated though.
He's on my Has he cheated? Oh.
Yeah, so no, he hasn't cheated. That's a fucking lie. There's your clickbait. What he's done is he's loaded a load of other African leagues in, so it's not a vanilla database. So, like, I think at one stage,
mad, is it?
Yeah, it does. You can't. That's like.
I think that makes it harder.
Goalposts.
No, I think that makes it harder though because I think
because what's the hardest nation in Africa to win the Champions League with is Africa. You have Egypt. You have all these other nations that will make that African Champions League easy.
Yeah, but I think in terms of Asia,
Saudi would make that easier.
That would make it easy, but I think in terms of starting off, you don't like in South Africa. You could get a championship South African team. And for me, within the second season, I was managing a good level Premier League side. Whereas with that, you could end up managing like a 4th division Senegalese team. And it'll take you ages to get your reputation up. So I think unless you know the teams and you know straight away who's good and who's bad, I think that would make it more difficult. In terms of Asia and stuff, I agree because you just walk into a Saudi job and you'll win it.
Yeah, absolutely.
It depends where he starts and who he starts with, really.
Saudi.
Either way, he's going to do it before you, Dave, so I wouldn't worry about it.
Oh, really?
But yeah, he's got. I think he's done the first one, and he's spoilers, and he's got another episode I've not watched yet. But
I'll have to watch it.
Really interesting. Yeah. Talking about
good luck to him. I'm just gonna say good luck to him, seeing as you just fucking rinsed him. Good luck, Tom.
I didn't rinse him. I just said like if I play
friend of the pod.
Cheat.
Is he? Is he a friend?
He's fucking cheating, isn't he?
Fucking cheating.
Clay 2 weeks ago, and then Tom.
Big Jadon Sancho fan.
I don't. Maitland Niles.
What was the other one?
Fucking amazing. Maitland Niels. Matalan Niels.
Yeah.
No, like, fair play. Like, if you've got the PC to be able to do it, then brilliant. Load all these other leagues in. But I do think that there's something about doing it vanilla. That's all I'm saying. Next, you're going to say
fucking horse, mate.
He's got internet, and he's got what do you call it? He's got attribute masking on as well. Off. Madd, talk us about your save. How you getting on? Have you played it, or you just been dying this week?
The good news is for you, I have not played since we last recorded because I was away and then I was sick and here we are. So short and sweet. I have no updates since last week.
Ix away has fucking killed him, innit?
It actually has. Actually, one of the lads, when we were flying home from Amsterdam, he was on a different flight. He was going to Belfast and he met Jordan Henderson at the airport. So he's already leaving.
Wow.
Didn't last long.
No. All right, then, Joe, take it away. You've got a big one. And
Thanks,
an
mate.
update.
Hello.
You know what? I've only written about 5 lines this week because I literally rattled into this podcast. I mean, I was still the first one here, but I literally.
I wasn't late tonight.
Season 9, done and dusted. It's short and sweet. So, like you. 92 points. Bosh. Won the league. Highest points total of the whole save for any winner.
Is that back to back, Joe? That's 2 in a row?
It's back to back, mate.
Yeah.
Thanks for
Not in the
listening.
Discord. That's what I put in the Discord. Mate. Thanks.
Yeah, 157 million worth of transfers out, 52 million pound in. Only one starter in. So Angelo left for Spurs. I don't know if you remember last week. I think I spoke about him. Absolute worldie. Bargain, obviously, from Chelsea for me. Played really well, despite having that doesn't enjoy big games. Was a consistent performer for me. Replaced him with a Brazilian from Palmeiras called Renan. But other than that, all my ins were all squad fillers, future prospects. But yeah, had quite a few big players leave, including 2 strikers that I had a lot of hope for. One of them was Anderson. I think I posted him maybe season 2, season 3 on Twitter. Mate, he was like 6'5", had heading and jumping reach of like 18 at 18 years of age. Like I really, really wanted him to do well. And I mean, he'd done well in the league for me, but never become a starter. And it just got to a point I was like, do you know what? I'm going to cash in on you now. Just let you go and play some football. And he went to Botafogo, to be fair, Dave. So there's a bit of a link there. And then there was another striker. He was another new gen, Pedro Sabino Bagao. And I remember showing Dave his screenshot from a couple of seasons ago. He's like, how is this guy not starting for you? And I was like, well, I've got Giuliano Simeone, Samuel Marodian. Like, I had other players ahead of him, and like he's attribute-wise really, really good. But again, I was like, do you know what? He was starting 24, 25. I was just like, do you know what? I'm just going to let him go to try. And I wanted to sell him to a Portuguese team. So my theory is some of the good players I've got, if I can sell them to the Portuguese teams and it increases their performances, hopefully we can start pushing up the coefficients. Because now I'm kind of back to back in the league and I'm thinking, right, this is where we're going to start dominating. But I did, just on a tangent, I sent a screenshot to Dupe. When we won the second title, when it come up, going, Famalicão are now in the pantheon of greats, and it was like we'd won 2 league titles. So take away Sporting, Benfica, and Porto. The other clubs that have been in the league have only ever won it one time, so no one else has won it more than once that aren't the big 3. And I mean, they were like 40, 30, 20 times, like these 3 teams, and then there's Famalicão 2 times they've won the league. So that tells you like the dominance of those 3, which obviously is not surprising, but it did surprise me when I looked and was like, blimey, if another club outside of those 3 has won, they've only ever won it once. So I was quite happy then. I thought, you know what, let's try and grow the league a bit. So I have been selling players probably cheaper than I could get for them, but I wanted them to go to Portuguese sides to start bolstering them up. So we'll see what that looks like. Champions League round of 16, knocked out to Spurs. Felt sick. But again, you get to the round of 16 in the Champions League, money, mate. Absolute money. And what it did, obviously, getting knocked out then all you've got is the league to concentrate on. So then it's like you can just plough on. I think if I was still going in the Champions League, you know, you would probably drop some points. But it was, you know, I'm happy with a round of 16, and that's the next kind of challenge, just see how far we can go. I actually finished runner-up in the FA Cup to Benfica. I lost 4-0 to them. I didn't lose to them all season. Absolutely battered. I mean, I battered most teams in the league. But Benfica, for some reason, it was like FM was just going, do you know what? We need one of the big teams to win something. So they just absolutely drubbed me 4-0. I probably didn't concede more than 2 goals to any other team all season. And then in the cup final, my lads absolutely shit their pants. And lost to Benfica. And then any other business for it is Samu Omarodian was in his last. He's at the end of this season. He's now got 1 year left on his deal. I mean, I've said this before. Every year it feels like he comes to me and says, "Oh, I'm a better player than I was. I want a new contract." So I've probably given him a new contract like every year that he's played for us. He played 26 games and scored 21 goals across the year. You know, decent return. But I thought I've got Mendoza, who's the Colombian striker, who just looks the nuts. He'd played 28 games and scored 19, and he was probably playing more of the league games. So I was just rotating him single strike up front, and I was like, do you know what? I think I'm going to cash in on him. So at the end of season 9, going into season 10, I literally went, right, I'm going to stick him up for sale, 35 million. He'd been I went to do the hire an intermediary to sell him, and they were saying, "Oh, we can get a bid tomorrow for like 17, 18 million." I was like, "Fuck that!" I was turning down 70 million bids a season ago, so I put him up. I thought £35 million last year his contract, 29. Bosh, in come the Saudis. So he went to Al Hilal, I think. They signed him, and he was on £700,000 a week. He'd been on 55 grand for me, as my top scorer for seasons. And when I tried, I did obviously I went to negotiate a contract with him that one last time, and he wanted like 110 grand a week. I was like, no way, like not happening. So I let him go. He's gone to Saudi, as I say, 700 grand a week, mate. He deserves every penny of that.
Good luck.
Fair play to him.
What nationality is he again, Joe?
Spanish.
He's Spanish. Okay.
You're racist.
That is, fair play. Like 700 grand a week is nutty money. But Saudi pay some nutty money.
Mate, he's worked like no hard feelings towards him.
No, the amount. I think in my save, the amount of kind of news articles you see of these players going to Saudi, and it's a lot of money. They still go for a hell of a lot of money. It's very, very interesting.
I did put on Twitter because obviously knowing that he was going to go looking for a replacement, and I put a guy on there. I think his name's Gustavo Lopez or something like that, Lopez, and his personality type was mercenary.
Mm.
And I kind of that put me off. And I kind of asked on Twitter, like, would that put you off signing him? And a lot of people went, don't even look at personality. So I have signed him. So we're going to see how he gets on, mate. If he's in the DMs, mate, he'll be out the door. Fuck him. Can't be dealing with stroppy players, mate.
No, I had a player. It didn't bother me that much because I don't think I'll be there much longer in South Africa. But there was a player. I haven't really seen it too much, but there was a player who's really talented, smashing the goals in for the 21s. And I thought, it's not going to be far away until you may, come to the first team. And I had an inbox message about something like an off-field incident. And his determination was like 14 and it dropped to 2. So I don't know what had happened. And then he was kicking off about not playing. And then I had a bid come in. I've had a lot of loan bids with like an option or obligation to buy. And it was a really low obligation. I thought he's a really talented player. But then at the same time, he's going to be a dick. He won't sign a new contract. I'm just going to get rid of him. So I ended up doing that. Because I thought if his determination is that low, the chance of him actually improving much as a player is not going to be high anyway. I don't think I've seen his name since, and that was at the start of the season. So I've had that a couple of times with determination.
One other thing that happened as well, I didn't even write it down. At the end of season 9, going into season 10, I got offered a few international jobs, which I turned down, but then the Portugal job came up. So I've taken over as Portugal manager as well and smashed Ireland.
And then resigned.
What about the match?
With your boy Ferguson's playing up front.
Yeah.
And he's currently at Real Madrid.
Ooh, spicy.
Didn't score against me, though.
Oh, fair enough. Awesome. Again, another awesome save update. Do you know what is weird is you play a lot of it in the Discord. We talk about it a lot. We see the screenshots a lot, and yet I'm still captivated when you do talk about it. So it just shows that
I haven't really played it much this week. So I kind of, although it's another week and another season, I haven't really played a lot this week. So next week, I'm not going to have much time to play this weekend because you're bothering me.
You don't have to. Just sit there. I'll just come around. I'll play my Penty. You play your save, and we'll just sit in your office. You've got your lazy boy set up.
Nah, not anymore, mate. Got one in the garage.
I just sit. I'm used to sitting in the garage.
Dupe in the garage. Yeah,
it's got power out there, mate. You'd be fine there.
It's one step of what I got, so that's fine. Good mate. Awesome. Let me give you a little update into mine. Cirencester Town, if you don't know, I think we mentioned it last week that we took over our local team, Cirencester Town. And to be fair, the season was pretty uneventful. We didn't bring really many people in. I'm going to say it because it's like I should have it on a t-shirt, but I had no money. We brought a couple of loanies players in.
Bingo.
It's really difficult because you can't see the attributes. You don't really have the scouts at this level to send them out. So you kind of just see who's available. You kind of see who's happy to not take any money off you. and then I just try and grab them. So I think I picked about 12, maybe 10 or 12 loanees in. All it took £0 per week. Get them in. Don't like them. They're crap. Because obviously after a couple of days of them being at your facility, you'll then see their attributes, and then just let that 28 days go. Then they complain. Their manager complains they haven't played, and then I just say, well, just recall them then. And then that was kind of my way around it. But yeah, we didn't really bring anyone decent in. And we just kind of sat with what we had. We set up as a simple 4-4-2. We had a little bit of a spell in the middle of the season where we were conceding a shed ton of goals. We were drawing games, winning games. We were still conceding lots of goals. As I think the amount of free frees I had last year was crazy. So I dropped to a 5 at the back. Again, didn't create much with that. And also we conceded quite a bit. So it turned out that we were the 4-4-2, we were creating enough to kind of stabilize and get some points, but never enough to kind of not concede as many. Like with the 5 at the back, it was just mental. We weren't creating enough to try and outscore them. So we quite quickly, I think after about 5 or 6 games, swapped back to the 4-4-2. Knew pretty early on that we weren't going to get promoted automatically. So in the league that we're in, the top 1 gets promoted, and then the next 4 play in the playoffs. But Biggleswade and North Lee were always just that kind of step above us. Always about 9 to 10 points ahead of us. Got to the final few games of the season. We guaranteed a playoff position. We were happy with that. We knew we couldn't get promoted automatically, and we had to play first and third in our final 2 games. We drew against first, and then we went on to lose against third, which really put us in a bad stead. A bit of bad morale going into the playoff positions. The playoffs are quite simple. He who finishes higher gets the home draw. So our first game against Kings Lanley, we actually finished higher, and we won it with a 1-0 win for one of our new gens as well. So we've had some pretty decent new gens, but our left midfielder, new gen, went and scored on the 33rd minute, which was quite handy to see. And we beat them. We ground out a result, and we did beat them, which was nice. And it's only 1-legged as well, which is really cool. We then went and played North Lee, who finished second in the league. Like I said, always that 1 step ahead of us. We played them, and we were very quickly 1-0 down at their place. We then equalised with Ben Whitehead, who is quite a legend in our stream, as he's only got 5 finishing, but he was top goal scorer in the league last year. And then they scored again in the 64th minute. We chucked everything at. This was a Sunday morning as well. We chucked everything at North Lee as much as we could. In the 94th minute, my attacking midfielder, my attacking midfielder, had a long range shot, hit the crossbar, bounced down to my backup striker, who tapped it in the 94th minute to send us to extra time. Turns out we didn't have extra time. We went straight to penalty. So I'm really glad that I checked that, because I was kind of conserving, thinking that, well, we'll just not try and win it in that last 2 minutes of extra added on. We'll wait for extra time. No, go straight to penalties. We scored our first. They scored theirs. Then our captain, Marvelous, who's been awesome all throughout the season, he missed his penalty. They scored their penalty. Felix Miles, who's been my midfield maestro, he missed his penalty. Like, if I had to put money on somebody scoring, it would have been him, and he went and missed it. They scored theirs. We scored ours. They then missed their 4th penalty, meaning we had to score our 5th penalty to make it go to sudden death. We did, and then they did actually score their 5th as well. So we went out losing in the playoff promotion final, which meant that we didn't go up, which on the whole, I'm not overly disappointed. I think it adds a little bit more to the narrative that we didn't go straight up. It also looks like the database is pretty good. If you kind of tie up who's doing well in IRL in this league, it's kind of those that are good are at the top, and those that are bad are at the bottom, which is always good to see. And now we've just got a massive monster rebuild.
I think it's good though that you didn't go, like you said. If you were to go up, you see it a lot in a lot of saves that you go up and then you go up again. And then suddenly you're like 3 seasons in and you're 2 leagues, 3 leagues where you weren't. That's when it starts to lose that realism. So, it's like the proper hard graft. I was going to ask you, could you, or is there maybe already an affiliation with is it Swindon maybe local or Bristol Rover?
Why do you say Swindon in such a horrible way? Like you look so down
Swindon
on Swindon.
They'd be
you're
elite
right
here for where you are.
I mean, it's right to look down on Swindon. Just whilst I look at this, because we do, and I want to read you through some of the affiliate that we do have. Joe, I've been looking for a file for quite a while, and I found a load of our files from our time at Swindon. And
yes,
do you remember when we were sat in the dugout and I jumped up and put
you
my hand up? Yeah, but I actually hit my hand and like my thumb was throbbing from it. I found that video. I don't know why I wanted to say that, but I did. Affiliates, yes, we are affiliated with Cheltenham, Forest Green, and Swindon Town. They pay us nothing. They're allowed to send players to us on loan. We have no obligation to play them, and Cheltenham can return them. We can do friendlies against them, and we will host, and we get to keep all of the receipts, the gate receipts. That's pretty cool. However, Forest Green have a very similar thing. Forest Green wouldn't talk to us about anybody, would not offer anybody anything. Swindon Town, exactly the same. Wouldn't even come to us for a friendly because they were too busy apparently. But Cheltenham came to us for a friendly. We had quite a bumper crowd when we had Cheltenham. But one thing I did like, Forest Green relegated first season into the National League, and their professional status went to semi-professional, which is it's karma for being a bitch to us. But yeah, this pre-season that we've just done was a fucking nightmare. Yeah, we had 1,000 people. We also had Derby as a friendly, League One Derby. 4,000 people turned up at the Cranium Stadium. Our capacity is 5.5, so that's pretty cool. I've learned a lot as a manager managing this level. I went in, we did the Joe technique with getting the cups, which I think they've nerfed a bit now, to be fair. I don't think you can earn as much. We still earn quite a bit, but I don't think you can earn as much because it was all kind of like jumping around when we were doing it. But I went in, start of July, all the players that had left. We'd got a few players in on trial. I'd arranged all these cups that we were doing, and I think we kind of had it so we had about 12 pre-season friendlies. I thought that'll do. That's enough. It's more money spinning rather than anything else. And after the first game, I went and sorted my backroom staff out. So we got the physio in, and we then got rid of everybody else. Then went to go and get an arse man, and I couldn't get an arse man. I couldn't get an assistant manager in because I don't know if you know this. I know this now. If you go into the staff search and you have no coaches or scouts in the staff search, when you hit include at the top right hand corner, you haven't got the option to include interested staff. You haven't got the
nobody knows.
Because nobody knows. You have not got the option to do the same with the players as well. So you can't click the button to see who's interested in signing or not signing. So we had a really bad dilemma where I had to basically go through and look at my old assistant manager because he wouldn't re-sign with me. What I should have done was just let him tick along whilst we got somebody in, but we just got rid of him. I had to go and look at what his attributes were, which was 777 in judging potential ability and people management, and then work our way up until we could find somebody that would sign a contract with us, get them in.
Somebody
and then
shit it off.
Honestly, mate, it took forever to do it. And I mean, I'm never doing it again. Ever. We brought an assistant manager in, Harley Pernell, his name is, and he's terrible, but he'll do the trick for us. What we did do, though, is I brought a director of football in, who at this level is incredible. He's 18 adaptability, 11 judging ability, and 11 judging potential. I mean, we're 2 leagues below National North. So I brought him in as a director of football and a scout. Because as a scout, he's very good. 18, 11, 11. And then basically my whole transfers were just him. I went and asked him for each player, for each role, for each position. And he basically has filled my squad up. And we brought some really good players in, some interesting players. We had some random ass players on trial. Jamie O'Hara being one. Larnell Colby and
What?
another ex-Manchester United player.
Jamie O'Hara's still on the game.
Yes, Jamie O'Hara.
How
I
is he
think
still on the game?
I think he's not retired still, but we had him last season on trial, and we had him this
Acceleration
season on
1.
trial. Just couldn't afford him really. We had some really kind of awesomely random people. And we built quite a good squad, to be honest. We're still building. It's quite exciting because you can just add to this list as much as you want and as little as you want, as long as you don't go over your kind of wage budget. Yeah, we've started the season pretty well. We've won 2, we've lost 1 in the league. If you go on season preview, we are favourites to go up. So fingers crossed. The only issue we've got at the start of the season, there's just load of games. You do the FA Cup rounds, you do the FA Trophy rounds. And in August, we've played 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 games in August. We will play. So that's a lot of games. So you can imagine. So fingers crossed, we'll start picking up more results and our players will bed into a system. We're playing a little bit more spicy. We're pushing the wingers up. So we're playing 4-4-2, but with the wingers up in the kind of advanced roles. And yeah, fingers crossed, we can get some decent business with it and hopefully get up by the end of the season.
What kind of business?
What, you got curry sauce all around your mouth? Yeah, so that's it really. So should we move on to Adventures in Wonderkid-land?
Yeah, boy.
Yeah, Dave, do you want to do this one? So I've just spoken for like 40 minutes.
I can do if you want, mate. Yeah.
go on.
This week's Adventures in Wonderkid-land takes us back on our travels to Turkey. We obviously go there a lot. Where an 18-year-old striker is currently enjoying his breakout season at Besiktas in the Turkish Superliga. After making his senior debut last season, aged just 17, Semih Kılıçsoy has exploded onto the scene at Besiktas, scoring 7 goals in 11 games at the time of recording, including both goals in their most recent 2-0 victory over Trabzonspor. Widely praised for his ability to lead the line either with his back to goal or taking on defenders and playing on the shoulder. His movement and ball striking ability are undoubted, and it's no surprise that the likes of Arsenal, Spurs, and Aston Villa and Wolves are all rumored to be contemplating a move for the young striker this summer. Let's take a look at him in FM, lads. What do we think? Well, yeah, Wolves had a bid rejected apparently for him.
Looks a lovely player.
He does, doesn't he?
Lovely player.
At that
Have
age,
you seen him in your save? I was just gonna say, Joe, have you seen him in your save? Because like we're looking at his profile now, we'll have it on screen where he's 17 at the start of the game, but
Mate,
like
I haven't even seen him in a
mine.
Discord picture.
Ah,
Let alone my safe.
fair point.
Matt,
Well,
have
He's
you
an
got the
adventure in
one-
Wonderkid-land. I just presume he
there we
looks
go,
good.
sorry, yeah. I've got it.
yeah.
That's
I didn't even know what to say to that.
I was just going to say, I fell for that hook, line, and sinker. Just got, he looks lovely, and I'm looking at him going, he fucking does. And then I realise it's a bit further in the future, but that's made me laugh, Joe. That's very good. How old is he here? Because he's still classed as a wonder kid in this photo, Matt.
So it's the first.
Yeah,
I
so
mean, Madd's posted 2 photos. So the first one is obviously
see
at the start of the game, and then we've got one which I'll put on the screen shortly when he's 20 years old, so 3 years in. But
Oh, sorry.
I mean,
I'm looking at that.
yeah, I looked at the second one. I was like, he's a little bit good, isn't he?
Yeah, no, that's what I've done exactly the same as that. Because I saw the Wonder Kid top left, I just assumed he was him out of the box, but no, he still looks very good.
Well, I'm surprised you haven't called him out for being short.
I was just about to say he's a bit
5'9".
short for me.
He goes from 5'9" to 5'10", to be fair. Oh, yeah. By the time
Yeah,
he's
he grows.
25. Yeah. No, I saw him in my save. Now he's obviously way out of reach for me, but looking at his attributes at 17, they're very rounded and like just they will jump as soon as you start doing bits with him. But Brighton signed him in my save for 7.75 million, and within like a couple of months, his value went to 72, between 72 and 84, like within in the same season.
I have to be honest, my vision on him is a bit blurred. Not because I've had my eyes tested today, but I've been looking at like players that have got finishing of 7 and thinking it's really good. So
Yeah,
he looks great. Can I have him?
he looks unreal.
Yeah, and actually he's being paid.
He's played FM for 15 years, and only today now he can't see that a player looks good. I'm playing a Pentagon. Did you know?
I am trying.
No money.
No money. I
Never
know. I
has
like
any
him.
money.
I like him, Matt.
He's 2-footed as well.
He is 2-footed.
It fucking helps, doesn't it?
He's
He can walk.
he's valued a lot as well. He's also got like a complete blank slate where it comes to player traits.
Yes, I killed Madd. Yes.
I'm shocked. I'm shocked that they haven't done more with that, because with the finishing of 15, the technique that's good and his composure, like place shots in corner, it scored loads.
He's like a really like
He's a fox in a box.
Yeah. I was gonna say he's good. He's good at everything that you need to be that sort of advanced forward. Really, I'd be interested to see what his attributes are like at the age of 23, 24, 25. Because if that finishing creeps up to like 16, 17, his composure gets a bit better, he could be a really, really good forward. And I think, you know, playing in Turkey at the start of the game, we've looked at a few wonder kids that are playing in Juventus or whatever. Very difficult to buy, or it's going to be expensive. Playing in Turkey, I think it makes him a lot more affordable. But a really good player. And again, I think this is one in a couple of years' time. We're like, I'm sure I've heard this guy's name before. And
Dave will say, yeah, he's linked with Wolves.
Yeah. But no, he looks a serious player. And just looking at the screenshot as well that Madd had put him when he was 20, like really nice attributes on him. You know, I'm excited to see how he turns out over the next couple of years in FM, to be fair.
Yeah.
Another Turkish one as well. Like that's Yildiz, Kanuzen, Cooler, everywhere. Up the Turks.
There was
in homage to that, I think I'm gonna have a kebab after we've done this. So
respect.
Up the Turks.
I was gonna say, isn't there a Turkish? I don't know if he's a little bit older. I assume he's older. A Turkish central midfielder at Benfica as well, isn't there?
We mentioned before Korçu.
Yeah.
Ozgan, I can never pronounce his name. He went from Feyenoord to Benfica.
Mate, he was sick in my save as well.
He replaced Enzo, no?
Yeah, he did. Yeah, so I mean, they've got a nice little. And obviously, United got the backup keeper, but they've got not FM terms. They've got a nice little crop of players coming through at the minute. To be fair.
Awesome work. Yeah, brilliant. Right, quiz. Who's on quiz duty tonight?
Me.
Is it a nice quick one?
It is a nice quick one. We're going back to the roots of the old career path game. With the FA Cup coming into fruition a little bit more, I've gone with although I've just deleted one of my answers, I've gone with a FA Cup career path game, but all the players will include a team that you guys support. So there'll be players that have either played for Manchester United, Newcastle United, or West Ham United. All the Uniteds.
Does Madd support Newcastle? He's never mentioned it.
But Newcastle haven't won the FA Cup in a long, long time, so they wouldn't have won it whilst they're at Newcastle, and they may not have won it whilst they're at West Ham or United. So, we'll kick off with the first one. This player kicked off his career at West Ham United. He then moved to Chelsea. He then moved to Madd.
It's far too many. Glenn Johnson.
Incorrect. West Ham to Chelsea to Liverpool.
Joe.
Glenn
Johnson.
Wrong.
No.
West Ham to Chelsea to Liverpool.
Come on.
Then he had a loan spell at Lille.
Joe. I just said
Joe. Sorry.
Joe Cole, yeah.
Oh, sorry, Joe. Yeah.
I was taking a piss when you said Glenn Johnson.
Oh, right. Okay. Sorry.
Of all the players you could have picked, I thought he's gone for the fucking worst one.
Yeah.
Baller.
Toilet
Player
seat
number
stealer.
2. Kicked off his career at West Ham United. He then moved to Manchester United. He then moved to Inter Milan. Joe.
Madd.
Judas. Paul Ince.
Paul Ince. Why is he Judas?
Mate, West Ham fans don't like him. Yeah, it's one of them things, isn't it? It's all the old cunts that fucking still moan about it because they resent anyone having a chance at having a career.
He's also got blue eyes, which is also a good one for Dave.
Brilliant.
You're terrible, mate.
And also played over 100 games for Wolves. Got to get one in there. Next one, kicked off his career at Blackburn Rovers. He had 2 loan spells at Swindon Town and a loan spell at Sunderland. He then moved to Newcastle United. Madd.
Seamus Given.
It is Shay Given. Yeah. Won the FA Cup at, I think it was Villa, actually. Yeah, was it C? Yeah, Villa.
Wasn't Newcastle.
Oh, no. City. He was a runner-up at Villa. Next up, player kicked off his career at Den Bosch. Then moved to Heerenveen.
Is this
Then moved to PSV Eindhoven. Then moved to Manchester United. Joe.
Ruud van Nistelrooy?
It is Ruud.
I thought it was Den Bosch.
Yeah.
And
then obviously moved to Real Madrid, Hamburg, and Malaga. Next player kicked off his career at Watford. He then moved to Liverpool.
Joe?
Joe.
John Barnes?
No, incorrect.
Yeah.
That's not the player I'm looking for.
It's literally-
Then he moved to Aston Villa. He then moved to West Ham United. He then moved to Manchester City. He then played for Portsmouth. He then played for Bristol City. He then played for AFC Bournemouth. He then moved to IBV. And then ended his career at Kerala Blasters.
Just do that first bit again. Watford.
Watford to Liverpool to Villa to West Ham to City to Pompey, Bristol City, Bournemouth, IBV, Kerala Blasters.
Madd.
Goal. Mad.
David James.
It is David James. Yeah. David James. Won it at Pompey.
2008.
Mm-hmm.
Should have won that treble that year.
Next one. Going back a little bit for this one. A little bit. Kicked off his career at Newcastle United. Then he moved to Tottenham Hotspur. Then he moved to Lazio.
Joe.
Madd.
Joe.
Gaza.
It is Paul Gascoigne. Lazio, Rangers, Middlesbrough, Everton, Burnley, Gansu Tianma, and Boston United. Also had a trial at Wolves. There you
Fucking hell.
go.
Everything is talking Wolves.
Yeah. Come on, dude. We need to get one on the board soon.
Yeah, man. My brain don't work quick enough for this.
This next player kicked off his career at Tottenham. He then moved to Arsenal.
Joe.
Sol
Campbell.
He's Sol Campbell. Played at the end of his career for Newcastle.
That seemed like that was just be too quick.
Spurs, Arsenal, Portsmouth, Notts County for one game, Arsenal
yeah,
again,
okay.
and then Newcastle for 7. Also, Academy of West Ham. Next up, started his career at Standard Liège. He then moved to Everton. He then played for Manchester United.
Madd.
Mad.
I had Madd first.
It was
Fuck
mad.
off. Lukaku, I win.
Well, that's wrong.
Delaney?
It's wrong, yeah.
Aaron Fellaini.
I couldn't think. I only thought for Lukaku. Anderlecht. He's
Anderlecht.
Anderlecht, yeah.
I was wrong anyway.
Class.
Fuck you.
Right, next one. Kicked off his career at West Ham United. He had a loan spell at Millwall. He then moved to
Brave.
Chelsea. Was that again?
I said Brave.
Then moved to Chelsea. He then had a loan spell at Portsmouth.
Dupe?
He then
Joe.
Dupe.
Is that Glenn Johnson?
It is Glenn
Yes.
Johnson.
I was like, surely
The
not.
Millwall.
I didn't-
I had it already planned.
To be fair, I didn't know. I didn't know that he had a loan spell at Millwall.
No, me neither.
Then Chelsea,
Go
Pompey
West Ham to the
loan,
Millwall.
Portsmouth, Liverpool, and then finished his career at Stoke City.
He had quite a good career, to be fair, when you think about
Yeah.
the teams he played for.
Yeah. And last one, kicked off his career at FC Zwolle. Then moved to SC Cambuur. Then he moved to Willem. Then to PSV Eindhoven.
Joe.
Joe.
Aaron Robin.
No. Then played for Manchester United from PSV.
Dupe?
Dupe.
Memphis Depay?
No. He then played for Lazio.
Madd.
Dupe?
Mad.
Yapstem.
Yapstam. Correct. Then Lazio, Milan. And
Talking,
finished his career at Ajax.
referencing back to earlier, if you haven't heard his overlap
Stick to
podcast,
football, yeah. Good.
Stick to Football is sick. Yeah, he's brilliant on that.
Brilliant. Well, that is full time, boys. Full-time scores, Dupe. Unfortunately, well, you're off the board. I think that's your first point in the career path game. To be fair, it is tough.
My brain don't work
we'll
quick
take it,
enough,
mate. Dupe with the 1, Madd with 4, and Joe with 5. It was a close game. Well done, chaps.
but I wrecked it for
Fucking
you,
Glenn
man.
Johnson.
Yeah.
He fucked it for a lot of people. Well, that
Yeah,
does
he
actually
did.
bring episode 339 to a close. You can find the links for each of us in the podcast description or by visiting 5starpotential.com, where you can find all of our latest Football Manager content, including Madd's top 10 contracts expiring in 2024.
He's fucking left that in there, and he from the previous script.
Again.
That-
Didn't even
That
see
sounds fucking brilliant. If you want to
That's
fall
still
asleep,
fresh,
feel free to
still
read that.
it. Still relevant.
Five Star Potential is available on YouTube, iTunes, Spotify, and most of our popular podcast apps and platforms. Of a new podcast released every single week. Thank you all for listening. There'll be more from us next week. Say goodbye, gentlemen.
Goodbye, gentlemen.
Goodbye,
Joe's
gentlemen.
FM 22 custom views.